an EasyJet flight from London Gatwick to Cos was forced to make an emergency landing after a drunk passenger sparked chaos at 30,000 feet. The unruly traveller tried to storm the cockpit, claiming he could do a better job than the pilot. The man, who had reportedly been drinking whiskey throughout the flight, became disruptive after the plane hit turbulence. He branded the pilot rubbish and attempted to take control of the aircraft. Shocking footage shared on social media shows the intoxicated man being wrestled to the ground by both cabin crew and fellow passengers. Witnesses say the man broke the in-flight intercom and even tried to open the exit door while the plane was still airborne.
Get off, you loser!
As the situation escalated, the pilots made the decision to divert the flight to Munich, where German police were waiting for the man on the tarmac. The passenger was arrested and removed from the plane in handcuffs. One fellow passenger, hailed as a hero, played a crucial role in restraining the man until the plane could land safely. Passengers erupted in applause as he helped the crew manage the situation. One post online read, "Thanks to the brave passenger for restraining him until Captain Mike landed us safely. Despite the chaos, many passengers remained calm, with some filming the incident while others anxiously waited for the situation to be resolved." The flight was diverted to Munich, where passengers were accommodated in hotels overnight before continuing their journey to Kos the next day. EasyJet addressed the incident, reiterating their zero-tolerance policy towards abusive and threatening behaviour on board. While such incidents are rare, a spokesperson said, "We do not tolerate abusive or threatening behaviour." The quick thinking of the cabin crew and passengers ensured the situation ended safely. The unruly passenger now faces legal consequences for his mid-air antics. Thankfully, no one on board was injured during the incident, but the experience has left many shaken. The incident comes a week after Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary has called for a 2-drink limit per passenger at airports to curb a rise in drunk passengers boarding flights.
We've made submissions to the governments across Europe. We want two things. One, much more effective fines, fining passengers by the local magistrates when they're hauled off planes for disruptive behaviour. And two, we need to have a ban on airports, not selling alcohol, but limiting the amount of alcohol that can be sold to any passenger to 2 alcoholic drinks. So in the same way that you have to show your boarding pass when you go through duty free to buy cigarettes or alcohol, we believe you should have to show your boarding pass to buy an alcoholic drink at a bar at an airport, and you shouldn't be served more than 2 alcoholic drinks, particularly when flights are delayed. The real challenge is when flights are running late, and this summer ATC delays are at all-time high. Passengers tend to drink more alcohol, they become more inebriated, and that's not good news for when they're getting on board 1, 2, 3 hour flights.
His comments have sparked debate over whether alcohol should be banned completely from airports and on flights, with GB News' Eamon Holmes weighing in on the matter.
Time for an air booze ban. This is the Ryanair chief executive, Michael O'Leary. He was saying that too many people are getting on planes drunk. But I would say, I'd laugh. I know Michael O'Leary, and I'd say, what? So would you rather you got them drunk than they're spending the money with you?
Quite.
Rather than whatever. But I don't really understand. I understand people having a few drinks and having a relaxing time on an airplane, especially if they've got bad nerves about flying. But people who just get sloshed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the ones that shock me are like the 9 a.m. boozers. I just can't drink at that time of day. Personally, I can't do that. But people do go and get really slammed at 9 a.m. in the morning
Well, because,
and then get on a plane.
people think that time in an airport doesn't exist, right?
Also, it depends on what time you get up, Alex. If you're
Well,
up
that's
at 3
true,
for a
that's
flight,
true, that's
and
true.
if you get delayed, for example, on my 40th birthday, got up at 3, got to the airport, realised I'd brought my daughter's passport. So
Oh,
we
you're
missed our
joking.
flight.
Oh,
We
my
had to sit in the
goodness.
airport till midday when my amazing mother-in-law brought my actual passport to the
Wow.
airport. So we Got a
Then it
bottle
was
of
definitely time for a
champagne.
drink.
So here we go.
Lovely time.
Right, so you're rebelling against this because you get smashed before you get
I
on.
would suggest, how does he know it's booze that's behind the rage on
Well,
his
okay,
flights? Could it be to do with the fact that they're squeezed in like cattle into tiny seats and that their bags,
Yeah.
you know, it's not exactly a pleasurable
There's a few,
experience.
I guess people drink just to make it bearable.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I would ban booze on flights. Because
No,
I
I don't think we should do that.
And
I think you're taking the fun.
Be punished for the
No.
behaviour of a few naughty people.
Because the way alcohol affects your body in the air is different for everyone, and some people just cannot control themselves, and they don't necessarily know the impact that they have on other people. It's so intimidating if you're sat next to a drunk person on an aeroplane,
horrid,
especially when you've got a child. You know, so I actually would just ban it.
Okay.
What I was found absolutely fascinating, speaking to Michael O'Leary, the chief executive of Europe's biggest budget airline yesterday, was that he said going from basically 0 cases of fights between passengers on board 5 or 10 years ago, they were now getting 1 incident every week. He said that this was partly fueled, of course, by alcohol, also by drugs, people taking illicit powder or tablets. And he told me that he wants some action to make sure this gets reduced, but it won't be affecting his alcohol sales on board.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, Simon? Could this just be a ploy to make sure that people buy the booze on board at extra bumper prices?
Well, it's undoubtedly a problem. I've been on a plane, not actually a Ryanair flight, but a Wizz Air flight, where there was a scuffle between passengers. We were flying from Luton to Budapest. It was clear that it was an early evening flight. Quite a lot of people had been at the airport quite a long time. And in the end, we flew around in circles over Hungary for about half an hour. And then the police were waiting when we landed. And it is quite scary inside an aircraft where you've got very little room. And of course, that's why you get so many diversions. And it's very, very expensive for the airline, very annoying for the passengers. But it seems to be happening a lot, and Michael O'Leary wants something done about it.
I mean, Simon, on Ryanair, they're pretty vicious, the staff, if your bag is slightly too big. I mean, I've got pretty furious, I must say, when I'm told by someone standing there that my bag, because it's 1 millimetre too big for their little box, that I have to, you know, rearrange my items or pay 50 quid or whatever it is. Surely they can just turn drunkards away.
Well, that's actually a really good point, because if you had a system whereby people who were routinely breathalyzed, not necessarily on every flight, they know the target flights, and in particular, Michael O'Leary mentioned Liverpool and Glasgow and Edinburgh and Manchester to Ibiza, you could effectively breathalyze everybody getting onto the aircraft. He said that actually it's sort of slightly too easy. If you're with friends and one person has had clearly too much, then they can kind of shuffle them on board. But I agree there ought to be more scrutiny of people, because obviously it's much, much better to tackle this problem at ground level than when you're at 35,000 feet.
I completely understand what he's saying there, Simon. Obviously, if people are sat there drinking for half the day, they're not going to be perhaps the most ruly or orderly of passengers when they eventually get their delayed flight. But isn't that perhaps more of an impetus for Michael O'Leary to make sure his flights are not as delayed as they sometimes are? And also, frankly, what else do you do in an airport?
Quite, yes. It's a serious problem. And we've got issues raised by, for example, the whole business of air traffic control and the delays that are being caused there. But yeah, you've got a couple of hours. You know, I've been in exactly that position. I'm sure you have too. And nobody likes a drink at an airport more than I do. And maybe I'll have one on board as well. By the way, I'm only drinking tea here, just to be absolutely clear. But the crucial problem is that if you've got a lot of time, a lot of people, it's very encouraging to get people to drink, then you're going to have problems. And actually, I conducted 6 months ago a social media survey on this. And okay, social media, absolutely not rock solid market research, but still over 6,000 people voted. And I was really surprised that the majority in favour of a total alcohol ban on flights and at airports was 52 to 48, which
that
these days I think we
classic.
count as pretty conclusive, don't we?
All right.